Going live. Okay, here we are. Hello, everyone. How are you? How's it going? So I can see that some people are already here before, just waiting for the time to come. Silvio, how's it going? Silvio Henrique. I remember you last time here too. Yeah, and Juan. Silvio and Juan. Who else is here? Anybody else? Well, I think we'll start. We're just talking about Believe It or Not Museum. And I know that this museum, we have similar of this museum in other cities around the world. So it's not only in South Korea, in Jeju Island, there are other similar, believe it or not, museums in other places of the world as well. This is the one that I know when I went to South Korea, to the island, and that's the one I'm going to show you. So I'll show you the pictures that I took while I was there. Um, I'm going to just show you right now. You'll be able to see like all of them, and I'm sure you are going to enjoy it very much. It's a pretty crazy museum. I think you can probably see it now. um, right, can you see my screen? Can everybody see my screen there? No, not yet. Oh yeah, okay, it took some time, but there it is. Okay, there it is. All right, so we have visiting Jeju Island, believe it or not, museum. uh I'm going to tell you a little bit about the island itself first, and then later I'll show you the pictures that I took. While oh yeah, it's one just mentioned here. It's a beautiful image, yeah, and the island is really beautiful. It's a fantastic place. You're gonna love it. Seriously, you're really gonna love it. Uh, so here I have some of the pictures that I took while I was there. You're going to see each one of them in more details here later. So basically, this is South Korea, right? So here we have North Korea and South Korea over here. This is the capital, Seoul, right? Seoul, the capital here. And it's just between the Sea of Japan and the Yellow Sea, right? And Jeju Island is just south of the country, just south down here, as you can see below, Jeju Island. It's uh this place down here. And that's where we're going to go now. The island is very well known for the Halasan volcano that you can see here from the image. Halasan volcano. And this is an inactive volcano. Okay, so the volcano is not going to erupt, probably not anytime soon. Okay, so this is a volcano that used to be active a long, very, very, very long time ago, but it's not active anymore. And what happened here is that on the top of the volcano, it formed a lake. You see this small lake here? That's what happened there after the volcano had been inactive for so many years. Then usually that's what happens there. So there's a little lake on the top of the volcano, and it's a tourist attraction there in South Korea. When you go there, when you go to the Jeju Island, we usually want to go see the volcano there. So this is a closer image of a picture that I took myself here, and this is how we get there. So you can see in this image here, there's all of these stairs here. We have to climb them all the way to the top. And as you can see here in the image, in the sign here, it says 1,900 meters, right? So at this point, we were at 1,900 meters. Actually, it's a little bit more than that. If you still climb up all the way to the top, it's more than 1,900 meters to reach the top of the volcano. And these are other pictures I took from there. And this is just me trying to jump into the lake in there. Of course, I didn't jump in there, but I confess I really wanted to, yeah, to jump into that lake on the top of an inactive volcano. Right. Now, let's start talking about museums, and that's what most of this class is going to be about. But before that, what museums have you been to? Guys, like, just like right there in the chat, what museums have you been to before? Oh yeah, one just asked me here in the chat about hot water. I don't think that's hot water in the lake on the top of the volcano. It's probably not hot water. It's just like normal, like ordinary water at at temperature. At the average temperature of the place. It's not that kind of water because it's just a lake that was formed all the way there on the top. But how about museums? Have you been to any museums, and what museums have you been to? Maybe a museum that caught your interest more than others. The older things. Uh huh. And what is your favorite museum? Okay, so think about the museums you've been to, and which one is your favorite museum, and why? Do you have a favorite museum? So many people probably mentioned the Louvre Museum, right? The Louvre Museum in Paris. It's one of the biggest ones in the world. We have the Natural History Museum in New York and in London too, right? Which other museums have you been to or do you know about? Museum. Oh, Museum Paranaense. I don't know that one. Right. I wonder what they have there. It's probably about history, I guess. What are the benefits of visiting a museum? So that's also something else to consider, right? So when you go to a museum, what do you want to see there? And what are the benefits of visiting a museum? So one of the greatest benefits is about the history, right? You're going to learn when you go there, we learn a lot about the history of the things that we see there. Not only that, it's actually kind of fun to see pieces of art and history. It's a different experience than we have from a book, right? When you read the history book, it's very interesting and very important for us to learn about history. But when you visit a museum, you actually see those things in there. So when you do both, is the perfect match. You read about history and then you go to a museum and see those pieces of history, if I could call them like that, right? And what is the weirdest museum you have ever been to? Okay, now we're getting closer to the topic of this lesson here about the Believe It or Not museum. The weirdest museum. Remember, there was a class we talked about this word here. Weird. Weird. In Português, weird significa esquisito. Weirdest, when you add est here, it's the superlative. Então, the weirdest significa o mais esquisito, o mais estranho. So, what is the weirdest museum you have ever been to? Right? Think about that. Anybody in there? So, this is, from my experience, this is the weirdest museum I've ever been to, the Believe It or Not museum, right? And here it is. That's the entrance. And this museum was set up by this man here. Here has his name, Ripley. So Ripley's Believe It or Not Museum. So he was the man who started the whole idea of building not only this museum, but several other similar museums around the world as well. This is one of the first things that you see as soon as you come into the museum. It's a cardboard car. Can you imagine it? It's a car but it's made of cardboard, just like that. Think of those cardboard boxes, that we bring from the supermarket or we take things to the post office. So those boxes, this artist used those cardboard boxes to make a car, and you can see more pictures of it here. Take a look at this one. You can totally see it's all made of paper, cardboard. Imagine how much work he had to create that. Right? And here, even inside the car, if you see the steering wheel, the gear, the seats, everything made of cardboard, right? Even even the mirrors, like pretending to be mirrors, everything's made of cardboard. And if you ask me if you can drive this car, no, you can't. Unfortunately, we cannot drive this car So it's only there for us to see, and sparkle our imagination, right? Now, this is another car, but this is a real one. And this is the gold coins car, right? So this car is totally covered with gold coins, right? And it's a very heavy car because of that. So this car, you can actually drive it, but just take a look at it, right? All coins. So this artist decided to glue coin by coin on the car, right? So it's now, the next interesting thing I found out in this museum is a actually more than one fossilized dinosaur eggs. Take a look at those here. So we have a one, two, three, four, five, six dinosaur eggs. So these eggs are millions of years old, millions and millions of years old. Right? Fossilized there. You can see here in the on the sign as well. Fossilized dinosaur eggs. Yeah. And how about this one? So now I want to ask you, what do you think this is made of? Hmm, delicious. Yeah, one just typed here, delicious eggs. Would you eat those dinosaur eggs? Right. Uh, Here, this is a painting. This is a very famous painting. I don't know if you know, like who the artist is and the name of the painting, and just and what this is made of, because this is actually not a real painting. Okay, this is a painting, this is a copy of the real painting, but it's made from something completely different. It's a toast art, right? It's a toast art. So basically this artist, he made a replica. Okay, I don't know if you can read it there, if it's very small, the letters there, I'll read it here for you. So Edouard Manet, it's the original artist. His masterpiece, his painting is called Olympia. So this is Olympia from Edouard Manet, but this one was created using a toaster. So basically, this man, he used 60 pieces of toast, ordinary toast, like pieces of bread, those pieces of bread as toast, and he put them all together to create oops, sorry, let me come back here, to create this piece of art here. So if you take a closer look, each piece here is a toast. It's completely made of bread, right? So he first took the pieces of toast to the microwave oven, so to reduce the moisture, and then he baked them, right? He toasted them, and then he put them all together to create this piece of art here. How about this one over here? What is it? Who's this person? That's John Lennon, right? And here we can see John Lennon made from a cassette tape, right? So here, cassette tape. So this artist decided to use the tape from an old cassette tape to make an image of John Lennon, just like that, right? So very different kind of art here. I had never seen that before. Only the Believe It or Not Museum. Right. And here we have another kind of painting, but this one is on butterflies, right? So this artist likes to get butterfly wings, right? So these are butterfly, it's a butterfly, and he painted on the wings of the butterfly. So this is Picasso, and this is one of Picasso's paintings, right? He put it there. So butterfly, we call it the butterfly painting. Here we have more information about it. The artist is Mexican, and his name is Enrique Ramos. Enrique Ramos, and he painted Picasso on the left side of the wing, and he's painting guitar on the right side of the wing of the butterfly wing. Now, let's take a look at the next one, the next piece of art here. This is C3PO from Star Wars, right? So they recreated the robot C3PO to put in there in the museum. And as you can see, it's real size, right? It's a real size robot. So For those who like Star Wars, that would be something interesting to see. Now, the next one, it's Wally. Wally, also from a movie. So this artist decided to create the identical robot from the movie, right? Just using scrap metals, right, to create it. The next one, it's a picture, right? So this person really existed, and we call him a man with a horn, right? So that's a man here, and this is a horn, okay? Horn. So he has a single horn on the top of his head. So man with the horn. This is a very rare case. Of course, it doesn't happen very often, but it did happen one time. A person was born with a horn, and Ripley took a picture of him to make this image here hanging on the walls of the museum. Now we're going to see the tallest man in the world. I think you've probably heard about that before. But how tall do you think the tallest man, o homem mais alto do mundo, the tallest man in the world, how tall do you think this person is? Type there in the chat. If you already know it or if you have an idea, how tall do you think the tallest person is? Any guesses? Anybody? Any guesses? No? Okay, let's move on. He is 2 meters and 70 centimeters tall. 2.7 meters tall. So you can see the picture in the picture here. But this is not the real person, okay? This is a replica that they created that represents him. And here that's me. So that's myself. So I was standing right next to him just for us to see the difference in the difference in our height here. So you can see that he's almost like double my height. Okay, it's like double my height here. So you can have a clear idea of how tall he used to be. And his name, if you want to search about him, his name is Sultan Kozan. Right, Sultan Kozan. Oh, I think you can't see that because Sultan Kozan. I'll type here in the chat. Sultan Kozan, his name here. So Sultan Kozan. So in case you want to do some research, Kozan, find him on Wikipedia. So Sultan Kozan, right? That's his name. Uh, the tallest man. Now take a look at this one. The tallest man meets the shortest man in the world, right? So that's a very peculiar image here too. So that's the tallest man, and this person here, it's not a boy, okay? This is a man here, and he's the shortest man. And they had a nickname here. He was Major Might. The shortest man was called Major Might, and the tallest man, right? So this photo is a dwarf called Major Might who was famous in the 20s, in 1920s, and his circus colleague who was known as Jack Earl, who was 2 meters and 55 centimeters tall, so 2.55 meters tall, right? Yeah, littlezinho. Yeah, that's it. Okay, this one here. Do you have any idea of what's happening here? Look at this man here. Again, this is just a representation of the man. It's a replica. It's not the real person, okay? Because the real person lived long ago. And this is what we call the incombustible man. The incombustible man. So he could resist very high temperatures. And here he's inside an oven. He's in an oven. And he went into the oven with a piece of meat. And the piece of meat was baked, but he got out of it still alive, believe it or not. So here we have like the sign talking about the incombustible man. So if you're interested, you can pause this video here after, and you can read the sign over there too. Now, the next one, it's a fork cannibal. It's called fork cannibal. It's a fork. Take a look here from the picture above here. Here, down here, it's the sign. Above here, it's the fork. It's made of wood. And this fork was used to eat human flesh, right? So you've probably heard of cannibals before. So cannibals are those people in certain tribes, right? They're like people who live in certain tribes who enjoy eating human flesh, right? And that happened in a tribe somewhere in Africa. Um, and yeah, and here, basically, what it says here is that he ate the man, like the leader of the tribe. He ate 1,872 human beings using this fork cannibal, using this fork here. So it's pretty scary, right? I know it's pretty scary, but it's there in the museum, and it's just another piece of weird thing that we can see in the museum. The shrunken heads, it's also there in the Believe It or Not museum. And these were actually real people. You can see here. So this little head here used to be a normal head, but they used it and they shrunk them, So they've been shrunken, So that's why they're called shrunken heads, because they've been como se fala em português, elas foram reduzidas, foram encolhidas, são as cabeças encolhidas, shrunken heads. So they make a little potion, and they put their enemies' heads in the potion. These were other tribes. So these heads, they're from another tribe that used to do that to their enemies. So you should be very careful if you go to one of those tribes, because if you become one of their enemies, that's what they could do, to you. Take a look here. We have two more here, right? And they're preserved. Actually, they are embalmed, and preserved. So they're there for us to imagine what life used to be there in those tribes. Genuine shrunken heads, right? This is another one here too. Now this one, you can see these glasses here. This um they are they're containers, they're glass containers, and these are fake heads. Okay, these are not real heads, these are fake heads. They're made of rubber, right? And there's space for you to put your own head there too. So it's pretty cool, pretty fun if you want to do that too. So you see this one here, it's me on the left side here, on the left lower left corner here, that's me. So if you want to put your head, you can put it there. On the upper right corner there too, there's an empty space. And that let's see something else that is pretty weird in the museum as well. The woman in the clock. So there's a story about this woman here. When she was alive, she told Ripley, the museum owner, that after she died, she wanted to be in a museum. So basically, they preserved her corpse, right? So they embalmed her, right, so that she could be preserved, and they made her dream come true. So after she died, they put her in the museum and they put her inside this clock here. So we call it the woman in the clock. Another very weird thing in the Ripley's Believe It or Not museum. Now, take a look at this. Another piece of weird thing there. Do you have any idea of what that is? Any idea? I think it's probably hard to tell, right? But let me tell you, this is a vampire killing kit. That's it, a vampire killing kit. So back to like 200 years ago or so, many people believed that vampires actually existed, and they were afraid of vampires. So they created a kit like this one here with all the things that they believed could kill vampires, right? So they're there. You can see all of them over there. So vampire killing kit. It's from 1850, from the 1850s. It's pretty weird, right? Pretty weird and scary thing too. Now, uh, now this is a painting, and you'd have no idea how the artist painted this. It's called "In the Swim of Things." In the Swim of Things, as you can see here from the side. In the Swim of things. And it's called that because the artist painted this while he was swimming. Believe it or not, he was swimming while he was painting. I don't know how he did it, but he did it. He made it. Yeah. And this is one of my favorite here. Do you know who this person is? I think you can probably recognize him. That's Elvis Presley, right? So that's Elvis Presley. But the thing here is, what did they use to make this image of Elvis Presley? Take a closer look now and try to guess. I think now it's probably easier for you. Take a very close look. What do you think this is made of? What is this image made of? Any ideas? Yes, that's M&Ms, M&M candies. Yeah. So in English we call them M&M candies. So this it's all made of chocolate. Can you believe it? So it's all completely made like from chocolate pieces here. So it's called the M&M Elvis. M&M Elvis. The artist's name is Enrique Ramos, the same one we talked about before. So Enrique Ramos, he created this portrait of Elvis Presley using more than 1000 M&M candies. To make this work of art, he used over 36 kilos of chocolate. Believe it or not. Yeah. And then that's the image of Elvis Presley, totally made out of chocolate. Final discussion. We're getting close to the end now. So, what is the most interesting thing about this museum? Just for you to consider. I'll give you a minute here to think. What is the most interesting thing you, about this museum? What do you think? You can type there in the chat. The most interesting thing about the museum. And how about the weirdest thing in the museum? Oh yeah, one type to hear the weirdest thing, the most interesting or the weirdest thing is the fork, the cannibal fork, right? That they called fork cannibal. Yeah, that was really shocked when I saw that too. Yeah, the fork. Ah, right. And who do you think is the weirdest person there? Because like those, there was the woman in the clock, right? I think the woman in the clock was probably the weirdest one. I don't know, but that would be the one I would think of. Yes, the woman in the clock. Yeah. And if you build, just consider now, if you build a new museum yourself, like I'm just gonna drink a little bit of water now. Number four, if you build a new museum yourself, what would it be like? What kind of things would you display there? Would you show there? Okay, display it means to show. Would you show there? And how would you make this museum? And where would you build it? Have you ever thought about it? If you were to create a museum yourself, what would it be like? So that's something you can consider after this class. Right? We're getting close to the end now. Okay, so the final question is, what have you learned today? Right? Sculptures. Oh, so one typed here, sculptures of papier mâché. Oh, right. That would be a very cool museum. Yeah. Answering this question here, right? Question number 4. We could create a museum using sculptures made from papier mâché, totally made of papier mâché, right? That would be a very unique museum. I think I've never been to a museum like that before. Yeah. So what we've learned today. So probably if we're talking about things in English that we learned today, we learned about cardboard, right? So I'll open my Microsoft Word here and type the vocabulary we learned today. So we learned about cardboard, right? Cardboard. So let me just increase the font size a little bit here. Right, cardboard. Em português é o papelão, right? Cardboard. Which other materials did you see there? We saw the gold coins, right? Gold coins as well. Gold coins. Moedas de ouro, right? Gold coins. Yeah. What other materials did you see there? The candies. That's it. M&M, right? So M, let me type the proper M&M here. M and M, M&M. M, M and M candies, right? Those candies we saw there too. What else did we use there? Did they use there? Materials that they use there in the museum. Okay, this cardboard is with a small c here, not capital C, small c. Uh, there was metal, the scrap metal, right? Scrap metal or iron or steel, right? Remember those the robots from Star Wars, right? So there, and the other one also that we saw two robots there, right, in the museum. So they're made from scrap metal, right? Scrap metal, iron or steel, right? Iron é o ferro, steel é o aço, right? Scrap metal são pedaços de metais assim reutilizados, né? Uh, we saw the fossilized eggs, right? So fossilized eggs, ovos fossilizados, okay? Ovos fossilizados, fossilized eggs. So those we call them fossils, right? Fossils. Fossils são os fósseis, fossils, right? What else did you see in the museum? What else? We saw the vampire killing kit, right? So vampire, vampire, vampire. So that's a pretty good class for Halloween, right? The vampire killing kit, right? Killing kit. What else did you see there? The woman in the clock, right? But what material is there? It's just like the clock, right? Uh, just the clock, yeah, the one in the clock. I think it's pretty much it when you consider the vocabulary here. Okay. And of course, oh yeah, of course, in the beginning of the class, we talked about the volcano, right? Volcano. The volcano too, the inactive volcano. And in the volcano, we had the lake. Okay, volcano, vulcão. Lake é o lago que tinha lá em cima do vulcão. Volcano and lake. Yeah, lake. Any other new words? If there's any other new word you learned today, type there in the chat. Any other new word? Giant. Oh, yeah, very good. Giant. Giant. Yeah. The tallest man, right? The tallest man. O homem mais alto. The tallest man. Giant. We had the opposite of giant, right? The dwarf, right? The opposite of giant. So giant é o gigante, né? E dwarf é o anão. It's the opposite, right? So they're opposites. So you have here giant. Oh, I don't have the symbol here. I just wanted to write the opposite, but you can put it here, dwarf. So I'll write it here like short person. Very short, right? So here, very, very short person. Giant is the opposite. It's a very, very tall person, right? Extremely tall person. You can also say that in English, okay? When it's something that is more than very, we say extremely, extremely, extremely tall person. And when a person is too short, it's extremely, extremely, extremely short, right? Extremely tall, extremely short, right? We also talked about weird, right? The word weird, esquisito, weird, right? The weirdest. É o mais esquisito. The weirdest. Right? Anything else? Any new words from this class that you can think of? Okay, if you don't have any new words, we'll just take a look at them here. So we talked about cardboard, a cardboard car, right? We talked about the old coins that the artist used to make a car, to decorate the car. Islands, oh yeah. So we'll just type here, another new word here. Islands, of course. Islands, é a ilha, né? Island significa ilha. And be careful with the pronunciation here, okay? The S is not pronounced in English. So don't say eyes, no, there's no eyes, no. It's the pronunciation is island. So imagine there's no S here, okay? So pronunciation island, que é ilha, island, right? And of course, we also talked about South Korea. right? South Korea, Coreia do Sul, South Korea. And be careful here with the pronunciation as well, right? So this OU here sounds like ow, ow, right? And remember the TH sound too. You have to put the tip of the tongue between your teeth. So it becomes south, south, right? Pronunciation here, South Korea, Coreia do Sul, South Korea, right? So he also talked about M&M candies, M&M candies, scrap metal, iron and steel, fossilized eggs because they're fossils, the vampire killing kit. We talked about the volcano in South Korea, the lake on the top of the volcano, giants, dwarfs, the tallest man, weird, the weirdest, island, and South Korea. So you have some vocabulary here. That's it. So I'll just get back to the presentation. Uh, and I think I'll end this presentation with the top image in here, right? And oops, sorry, just a minute. That's it, guys. So thank you very much for participating. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you're watching it later, you can write like what you think about this class in the comments below. If you have any questions, you can type in there too. And I'll see you in our next opportunity. See you next class, probably next week. Bye, guys. Have a nice weekend. See you.